and I'm a senior auditor for pension insurance. And with me is Christopher Beckett, and he's a senior manager here at Pension Insurance. Now let me share the slides. Okay, everyone. Oh, can everyone see the screen? Okay, so hello CSUN students. We're gonna go over choosing the right accounting firm. Like I said, my name is Alberto Aguirre, and I'm a senior auditor here at Pension Insurance. And I did receive my Bachelor of Science degree in CSUN. And I have 3 years of experience in retirement benefit plans. Next, we have Christopher Beckett.
Hi, everybody. Chris Beckett. I also went to CSUN, graduated in 2014, spent a couple of years at Deloitte, and then went to work for Pension Insurance in May of 2016. So yeah, I haven't seen you guys in a while. We used to do on-campus stuff quite frequently before the pandemic and also before I moved out of California. But, you know, the whole remote aspect really kind of opens up a lot of opportunities. So good to be here. Thanks, Alberto.
Yeah, and me. Okay.
Okay, a little bit about pension insurance. Pension insurance was created in 2014. It's actually a spinoff from a full service accounting firm that had a tax department, an advisory department. Pension insurance used to be the employee benefit plan audit practice, and there was one partner dedicated to it, but the other employees at the firm were kind of shuffled around, if you will, between the tax and the consulting arms, and then back to the benefit plan audit. And the partner was thinking, well, if we can devote 100% of our year to this, we'll become experts much quicker. We'll be able to create efficiencies, which will keep costs down for our clients, and we can be industry leaders in expertise as well. So in 2014, the firm spun off from CNM LLP and created Pension Insurance LLP, which is a single service accounting firm that's focused exclusively on retirement plan audit. So no tax work, no corporate financial statements, just 401k, 403b, defined benefit plan, so which is like a typical pension plan, if you're familiar with those. And then during 2021 or so, last year, we audited just over 600 plans. I think this year the goal is just over 700. So net gain and loss is going to be about 100 for this year. So we're still going pretty rapidly. We are the second largest retirement plan audit practice on the West Coast, and then also one of the fastest growing firms. I mean, from 600 to 700, that's pretty significant growth percentage-wise, at least. And then we've got 2 physical locations, Agora Hills and downtown LA, but we have employees in 10 different states, ranging from the East Coast in New Jersey and Florida up through Northern California. And then you all are here to figure out how to choose the right firm. And there's a number of firms, or there's a number of different sizes firms. You've got the big four, kind of like the Harry Potter houses of the accounting world. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the names that you see here on the screen. Maybe not so much with pension insurance, but yeah, so we're a small accounting firm, just under 50 employees. We have 2 physical locations, but a lot of remote, at least in today's environment. That's definitely something that's a little bit more understandable now. And then, moving on up, anywhere from, our small practice to up through Grant Thornton, BDO, RSM, which are more national practices, pretty large, multiple offices around the country, different arms within the firm, audit, tax, advisory or consulting. And then you've got the big four, the global CPA firms. Back when I was in school, they had the biggest booths at Meet the Firm. So I don't know if that's still the same way, or if Meet the Firms is even in person anymore. But yeah, continue, Alberto. Yep. Okay. And how does this affect the accounting profession? So, you could work in a large firm, so like Deloitte, EY, PwC, and for me, at least at Deloitte, I spent probably 90%, maybe 85% of my time on one public engagement in Los Angeles. And I went there my first day coming out of training back from DU, and I didn't leave there until the audit was completed. So we did, interim work and quarterly reviews, the year-end audit, and then once the year-end audit was done, once the file was wrapped up, then we moved on to, or most of the team moved on to other non-public, smaller engagements. And I worked on 2 or 3 of those during my 2 years there. But I always found myself back on that public engagement to do either a quarterly review or to do interim test work. So in that environment, I was responsible for just a couple of parts of the audit. I mean, we had a team, I think, of 10 or 12, probably spent, I want to say it was like in the mid-teens in terms of thousands of hours, might have even been more on that audit. But I was basically limited to certain controls testing, certain substantive test work, but that was kind of passed around the audit team, and I only worked on those. And then the following year, again, I would either be responsible for training up the next staff, or I'd be working on that same audit area or control area just because I had the experience with it. But now at a smaller firm, let's say going to the full extreme like pension assurance, where our audits can take anywhere from, let's say, 25 to 100 hours, depending on the complexity and size of the plan. I get to see, or at least our staff get to see the entire audit. I get to see the entire audit because I'm reviewing it, but our staff get to see the entire audit from start to finish. They're responsible for assisting in the planning. They're responsible for making selections, sending out, test work, open items, compiling, financial statements and the notes to the financial statements for the client. So they get to see a lot more of the audit, although it is a smaller audit. At a larger accounting firm, you might have some stricter culture, more corporate red tape, and that really can range. That corporate red tape can even be at a small firm, but at least at the smaller firms, there's a chance that you have a little bit of some lesser restrictions, policy light, if you will. And then benefits. Larger companies probably able to offer better benefits in terms of health insurance and other amenities, just because of of the pool that they have with the size of their company. But you might get some unique perks. Here at Pension Assurance, any overtime hours that are worked during the busy season, we actually put those in what we call a flex bank. And during the slow season, from November to February, you can use those hours to offset the hours that you would work during those few months. So they're not wasted hours. You do get those hours back. So okay. And also, you have to consider what type of industry do you want to work in. They're looking at the big four in Los Angeles. I know each one of them has their own unique industries that they work within. So that's similar for medium-sized firms and smaller firms as well. And if you're looking to get into a certain type of industry, you need to determine which firm offers that. And I don't know if your goal is to leave public accounting and go and work in the industry, you'll want to have that firm picked out well in advance so that you can get the proper training and exposure to that type of industry. Okay. It's just some examples of some types of industries and some different clients that would be in those industries. You've got real estate, you've got technology, healthcare, all of these types of industries you'll want to learn about and determine which firms have clients within those industries. Okay. More about the industries, they'll have different financial reporting requirements. They'll have different types of culture at these industries, within the company itself, and then also probably within the audit team. Birds of a feather tend to flock together. So if you see, if you're one of those people that wants to be in a more laid back in that. And then also talking about industries, you have different regulations and types of SWOTs that will be related to those industries: strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat SWOT. Okay, go ahead, Alberto.
All right, so now I'll be talking about the accounting service lines. And I know that everyone's have heard already the audit tax, but there's also much more kind of accounting service lines that you can branch out to. One of them can be advisories, the other one is private, and the other one's governmental. And of course, there's more exponentially once you start recruiting and start seeing the different pathways your future may lie. For auditing, we're just basically trying to provide reasonable assurance of the financial statements and if they're accurately reported. For tax, you're just trying to help them navigate these complex tax laws. Of course, you're trying to help them reduce any of the tax due or maybe help them save more money. So that's one part of the tax. Advisories next, and just like it says, you're just advising clients on large transactions such as like mergers and acquisitions, or to do a better company betterment engagements such as revenue forecasting and internal process. Private is just your simple like bookkeeping, your accounts payable, your accounts receivables, and usually these will have like titles in them. So you have like controller, your director of financial reporting, your CFOs, your CEOs. Those are kind of more your private. And finally, the last one is governmental, and of course that's just like your city, your states. You're more focused on the budgeting and record keeping, and those are different than financial accounting because they have their own set of standards and rules. Now, work intensity can vary through each of the service line. For auditing, you have your deadlines to when those year-end audits should be completed. For tax, of course, you have your 415 and your 1015. For us at Pension Insurance, we have 2 deadlines that we have to meet every year that are intense, which is the end of July and our 1015. And of course, there's always a project timeline date for each project. You can be in a project for about 1 month. There's some projects where you have 6 months or maybe a year. And then, of course, different time zones can play to effect. Whereas a client can be in Florida, let's say, and you're from California, maybe they want to meet up at a time where it's 10 a.m. in their time. So you got to consider the time you have to be awake, which is 3 hours before their time, which means you have to be up at before 7. And of course, the type of work is always different. Interacting with clients is very different. You might be talking to the CEO. You might be talking to the managers of the company. There's also analytic procedures you have to do that vary across every industries. So you might be looking at revenues. Another one, you might be looking at their loan interest rates and their bad debts. And there's always like a level of risk through each of the audits. Let's say like their COVID-19 kind of brought a lot of risk to different companies. So that's a risk that kind of went high for many of these audits. And of course, there's a public and then there's private industries. Some are regulated through the public accounting, and then the others are kind of regulated through the private record. Chris, do you want to add anything to this?
I don't have much to add. Thanks, Alberto.
Okay.
Yeah. So another thing you have to consider is traveling and commuting. Here at Pension Insurance, at least for the time being, everything is remote. I was actually their first remote employee back in August of 2018. I moved from Southern California to Tulsa, Oklahoma for a little while. But prior to that, when the world was still normal, we would go to our clients. We would, and most of them were in the Los Angeles area, so it was usually a half a day of field work, 4 to 6 hours at the client side to go over, for us, payroll registers, any HR information that was needed to document our test work. And then that would be the work that we needed to perform on site. We did at that time have, we're starting to get a number of clients that were out of state that wanted us to conduct test work or in Northern California. And so we would fly out there for a day, or we would plan, our work around, certain, like a few clients at a time. So we would spend a week up in Northern California or out in Texas, hitting the clients that we needed to hit. But looking at other firms, looking at bigger firms than pension assurance, you can also see which clients the Los Angeles office services. I know I had a friend, and some of you might remember Scott Miller, but had a friend, Scott Miller, who worked at EY, and he was constantly in Reno, Nevada. So he would come home for the weekend, enough time to basically do his laundry and clean his house, maybe get a couple of good nights of sleep. And then on Monday morning, he was headed back to Reno. And that was the majority of his year. So that can vary as well. So, and most firms will tend to work with you. I know when I started at Deloitte, they asked, do you want to travel a lot? Do you want to travel a little? Do you not have a preference, or do you not want to travel at all? So depending on the size of the firm and where their clients are, you may be required to travel, and that may be a perk to some of you, and that may not be. So definitely consider that when you're making your acquaintances at Meet the Firms and the other recruiting events. Determine if they are going to accommodate your travel preferences. So, but when you do travel, the few times that I've traveled for work, the firm is either billing the client for those services, for those expenditures, or the firm is reimbursing you directly, and the firm is taking on that cost. But your flights, your hotels, your cars, your food, all of that is usually taken care of. If you're doing it for a business purpose, that is. And then in some cases, some firms are fairly lenient with their travel restrictions. And I know at Pension Assurance here, if I had to go on a trip to, let's say, Nashville, which we did at the end of last year, we could stay longer or go out earlier, and we would just pick up the additional cost ourselves to stay for, I guess, a vacation at that point. So you could kind of combine vacations and work trips at the same time, which is very helpful. So, okay. Again, knowing where the firm's clients are. Some of our clients are in some pretty neat spots. We've got some pretty cool views that we see from our client offices. I think that bottom right one there, I might have even taken that photo. Bad photo, but I might have even taken that photo. But yeah, so we still see some cool places. Client offices vary very widely depending on where they're at, what type of industry they're in. Some of our clients have the super modern open architecture offices with the cool colors and the neat couches, and then others are your traditional, bullpen style cubicles in the middle, and window offices on the exterior. So it varies widely depending on the type of client. Which something else that varies widely, next slide, is the commute. Are you traveling to Reno every weekend or every week, on Mondays and coming home on Fridays? Or are you driving down to downtown LA? I know, if a lot of the work is done, I know at least with tax, I believe a lot of the work is done from the office as opposed to the client site. So you'll know your commute. You'll know, okay, I live in Northridge, and I'm going to need to go downtown or to West LA every day because that's where the firm is located. Or if you're in audit, you might be required to almost never go into the actual office, and you'll spend all of your time at the client site. So that your commute in that case can vary quite greatly. I know at Deloitte, when I was working on the main client, I used to live in Santa Clarita. My client was down in just past the 514 split in Sylmar there, so just north of Northridge. And it would take me, 20 minutes to get there, where in the morning, if I had to go downtown, it would take me like an hour and a half with the traffic, and then same thing coming home. So, and then after I rolled off of that public client, I had a client that was in Arcadia, and on Google Maps, it was literally 50 miles door to door from my house to the office. I think the firm protocol was anything over 50 miles and you could get a hotel. So I felt like I got a little bit bummed. I was bummed on that one anyway. So, but yeah, and then, after the switch to pension assurance, like I said, most of our work is done from our office, or now our home offices, but at the time from our office, and then with maybe a 4 to 6 hour day at the client, maybe a couple times a week. So, you'd be commuting to that client and then back to the firm office or back home. So it's still varied, but, depending on where you're working and the type of firm it is and what industry, or not industry, but what, service you're in that firm, could really affect what kind of commute you have. Okay, Alberto?
Okay. So of course, like every firm, they have their own policy, just like Chris Beckett said, such as mileage reimbursements. Some firm will cover the mileage reimbursements from your house to the client. I know for pension insurance, they do cover it, ending over kind of the miles to the office. So let's say it takes you 5 miles to get to the office, ending above 5 miles, you get reimbursed with. Travel time, of course, if you're traveling to a client, you get to charge that time. So I had a time where I actually flew to San Francisco to see 2 clients to do some test work. And I get to travel, or I get to charge the time from me going to the airport and me coming back from the airport, because it was all in the same day. Daily allowance, some firms will give you a daily allowance on gas, food, maybe even coffee. So you always get like a daily allowance. For pension insurance, we do have a monthly allowance of like phone reimbursement. So we do get our phones reimbursed every month to a certain amount. Car rental, so if you're going to a client, let's say, or a conference, they'll usually allow you to rent a car there so you can travel to, go to restaurants or places. Or you might just take Uber and you get to get that reimbursed. And finally, hotels, they'll pay for your hotels up to the days they allow you to. And just like Chris Beckett says, if you want to extend your stay, then they'll come out of your pockets. One from this one is one of my friends had to do inventory counting in Florida, and he went to Orlando, Florida, and he was a very Disney fan. So he just stayed, he paid for the extra day hotel, and he went to Disneyland the next day, because he was free that next day. So that's like something to look forward to if you're going to go to Big Four and you're going to travel a lot, or any of the mid-tiers. The next is the benefits. Every firm offers different benefits. For instance, a lot of firms always offers a retirement plan. Here at Pensioners, we do offer a retirement plan. The next thing is like PTO or flex bank hours. Many firms offer the unlimited PTO. Some offer like some flex bank hours, such as our firm, where we kind of adjust our non-busy season hours depending on the overtime you work during the busy seasons. Just recently for us, like my hours, I got 9 hours reduced. So instead of working 40 hours, I get to work 31 hours. Of course, there's the other benefits such as life insurance and health insurance, to think about your future and your health. Every firm offers a wider range from like Kaiser to maybe, like Blue Shield. A parental leave is something good to talk to about. If you're ever thinking about your future, figure out the firm's parental leave. They might offer you 3 months, 4 months, it's all depending on the firm. And there's also disability leave. So, this is great things to, talk about with some firms, if what are their benefits they give out. And finally, bonuses. A lot of firms give out bonuses at year end, or maybe, I'm not sure, other firms probably do it at semi-annually. Yeah, pension insurance, we always do it around year end. Typically around November, you'll know like your bonus and how much you're going to get. So these are kind of some great benefits that you'll get at across many other firms, like your Big Four, mid-tiers, your local firms, but each one is kind of different to what they can offer. The next thing is culture. Every culture is very different across the firms. There's a hierarchy in that firm. It can also be in private, where you have just staff hanging out with staff, you have the managers hanging out with managers. You can have an open door policy. And here at Pension Insurance, we do have an open door policy, whereas if the door is open, you can come in and ask any questions. We have no cubicles at all. It's all just pure tables. So you need to say any questions you want. You can always, go to your left side and, there's no cubicles there. You can ask any questions you want. Mentorship programs, every firm, they kind of do a buddy system. where they kind of put you with a manager or senior, and they mentor you along the way, teaching you the ropes, or you can ask any questions that you feel they can help you progress through your accounting career. Personality fit, like if you're a very talkative person, you probably want to join a firm that's very talkative and going out. If you like a laid back, firm place, you probably try to find that laid back firm. Diversity is another thing where, you want to be in the most diverse like firm ever, like it has different cultures, different ways to blend in with everyone. The next one is work from home. I know everyone loves this, but there's some firms now offering a work from home position where, you can just work from home and come to the office whenever you want. Firm events is another thing, like does a firm come out to these events? Do they show faces? I know like Meet the Firms, you probably see many firms just like ours coming to those events because they want to show you what the firm offers. Training, across every firm, whatever, there's training that's differently. I know for the Big Four, they kind of fly you out to a set location and kind of go through a conference and the training of what you're going to do. And travel is another thing, like if the firm does do a lot of travel, and you like to travel, maybe that's a good firm to go to. Whether they don't like to travel and, they stay remotely most of the time, that's another, thing you probably want to look at. And finally, food, like find a place where, they treat you with good food. That's all I have to say for that one. Anything you want to touch on this, Chris?
Yeah, definitely. I think Alberto, you did a really good job, but just to add in there, hierarchy is a big thing. I mean, at the Big Four, it's very structured. It's very, partner, senior manager, and so on down the chain. As a staff, I was working directly with my senior and sometimes my manager, but, most of the time it's just with your direct superior. Where here at Pension Assurance, we work with, we've got partners working with interns, we got staff working with managers and so on. It's a little bit less structured, but one is not necessarily better than the other. It just happens to be a little bit different. But personality fit, that's a big one. When I was recruiting, the biggest thing for me was finding which firm did I feel like the people that I was talking to I would fit in with. And it's interesting because you'll talk with these people and you'll be like, oh, I don't really mesh with these people. And in this other group over here, like for whatever reason, I seem to, I just plug right in, and it's like, it's like we've been friends for, more than the last, 5 minutes that I've been talking to them. So that's a big one for me was personality fit. Make sure, you're going to be spending potentially a lot of time with these people or similar types of people on your engagements or, within your tax teams. But, it's really going to be, beneficial to like the people that you work with. And then food, a lot of times, at least on, at least from what I remember, food is generally provided, at least on the engagements that I work. We were able to go out and get food, quite often. So, yeah, next. A little bit about our culture. This is one of our audit teams last year. Taking a break from the busy season, might have been even after busy season, I can't exactly remember, but going out, we've got a couple of partners in there, just hanging out with everyone, just having a good time, celebrating, I think either finishing busy season or, maybe, finishing, first milestone there. So, yeah. Next, Alberto. Just some more pictures just showing off our culture. We had an ugly sweater competition. Those are pretty bad sweaters. Is that you, Alberto, with the Coca-Cola one? Nice.
Yeah, right there.
Nice. And then that one on the right there, that's a pretty old one. I don't know if you all remember when those hoverboards were the rage before they started lighting on fire and burning houses down. But we had one in the office until we found out it wasn't really up to fire code. But we've got a couple of partners. Actually, the three people in the right photo, they're all partners now. Working with Levon, who was an intern at the time. So no real hierarchy here. Next one, Alberto. Busy season, just playing jokes on each other. I mean, this was our paper shredder bin. And then during busy season, when we're doing second reviews of the financial statements, so we print out the complete financial statements, put it on the quality control read partner's desk, and when they were done with it, they throw it away, and it gets to a point where they decide to make a train of, or a conga line of financial statements coming out. And then we've got our ops team over there setting up laptops, working on laptops for either new staff or just a refresh for the current staff.
And of course, in the busy season, we just don't like have just fun. We try to get along and get lunch and just talk about personal things, whether it be like basketball teams, who's winning, or like football. We always like have a fun conversation during the busy season. As you can see in the top left, everyone was eating lunch and just talking about where they want to talk to. Another thing we also want to do during our busy season is boost morales. Like I know when stress comes and you just get more stressed out, you're like, oh, I just want to take a vacation. The firm here, we have the We Care team, and it provides like monthly kind of gifts or things for the firm. On the bottom, we gave a gift box of these coffee beans, like to try out. And our firm, we really love coffee. We don't have a Keurig. We actually have like a grinder with a drip coffee machine. That's how much we love our coffee, and we measure it. So that's why everyone here loved the gift, because it was like a nice way to do your coffee at home. And the right one, I believe, was when Alex Sanchez was meeting in a conference, right, Chris?
It does look like that. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. But of course, like there's other things that firms can provide. It can be just like taking you out to a nice restaurant. I know for one of my friends, they took their team to the Malibu Wine Safari. So every firm does something great for their team, depending on what they want to do, or maybe they kind of do like a vote of what they want to do for that day. Of course, firm events is another thing. We try to show our faces, pension insurance, everywhere we can. You've probably seen us at Meet the Firms, the networking events. You probably see us right here. We also try to expand everywhere else because we want to show our face and show what our firm is dedicating to. And you probably see those other firms, they talk about their culture, what they're recruiting for, and why you should, join them. So it's always different across the scope of all these firm events. And it's always a great way to come show your faces, because then the recruiters and everyone else will remember who you are, and it kind of makes you stand out.
On the left there, we've got a couple of employees at the Women in Pension Network conference this past year. Not only just like firm events within the firm, but a lot of us go to different conferences across the country, whether they be networking conferences to expand our network to help grow the business, or training conferences. Every year we go to the annual AICPA Employee Benefit Plan Audit Conference. Sometimes it's held in Las Vegas. We've got New Orleans. This year, I believe it's Nashville coming up next month. So, these are times when at least some of the firm can get together and either expand their networks or expand their skills. And then there's also these ones like the top right one. Typically, we'll set up a booth and present at different networking conferences for, in our case, advisors and third-party administrators who are working with plan sponsors who have these retirement plan audits or retirement plans that need audits. We're there to get the word out, what we do, and grow our network as well. So,
and I think the firm does is community service. We like to help out our community here at LA. I was here for this event in the bottom left, where we kind of gave out food to a homing shelter. And it was like sponsored by Lucille's, and it was just a great way to give back. I don't know, for me, I love helping my community whenever I can. And for me, this was a great opportunity that came up, and I had fun that whole day. Another events we do are like food banks, where we choose a day and kind of go there and pack up the food banks for the America. Forgot the whole title, but I know you all probably see that with like community service here at CSUN with the Accounting Association or at FSI. You probably see these community events going to clean up the beach. I seen recently that I think it was FSI that did. So it's like always great to, if these firms offer a way for you to join the community service, and or you want to become a part of that. It's a great way to ask these firms what they do for the community and what you can offer to them. And the final one is the one on the right. It's one of our client, Ronald McDonald's, and we go there and prep food for the people who are spending their day seeing their loved one in the hospital. And it was just a great way to bond with everyone here. We had some funny moments that happened in the kitchen, but it's a great way for not just like helping out the community, but just talking with each other, having like memories of doing this here. And I remember this very well. And it's one of like the memories I cherish here at the firm. And finally, there's always like this big celebration at the end of a season or maybe closing out a client. Here after 10:15, the firm gave us all VIP passes to a hockey game. It was the Kings, and I think it was the Ducks I played at the time. And it was just fun getting that VIP. We all hanged out. A lot of us, it was our first time seeing a hockey game. It was my first time. And it was just a fun experience, like just being there with everyone.
Okay, and then during the off season and even during the our busy season, we like to take time here at Pension Assurance to go out, have some fun every once in a while. Sometimes they are like Alberto said. Sometimes these are after busy season celebrations. I think the bottom middle picture there is the Magic Castle. I think that was my first year back at Pension Assurance, and the firm went to the Magic Castle and watched a show, and it was fun. Then we got some go-karting that went on. We've had the Magic Castle there as well. Anyway, we like to have a good time, and honestly, your firms will offer, most likely, at least your teams that you're on will probably have a way to go out and do something fun, whether it's a happy hour or a dinner or an event. I know at Deloitte, I specifically remember going to the Knott's Berry Farm Halloween during Halloween time. So we made it a point to go out and do something like that once a quarter. So there will be the ability to do stuff like that as well at the other firms, but it's just some examples of what we do. Okay, and then really, this slide kind of says it all, but you have to decide what you want to do, what you want out of your career, what you want, later on in the future, where do you see yourself? How do you see yourself progressing? Not everyone is going to make it to partner at a public accounting firm. The chances of that happening are pretty slim. So, you probably will have to, make some changes to your initial plans, and that's okay. You might go to a firm and find that you want to go into a different industry or work with different types of clients, and maybe you switch firms, and that's okay, because that's life, and we're going to have to adapt to things that come up. But at the end of the day, there's really no wrong choices, because everything can kind of be undone, but there's just choices. So find what you want, go after it, and work hard and do your best, and make the best out of whatever situation you find yourself in, and that's it. So, Alberto, anything to add?
Oh, for me, yeah. So for me, like one of the choices I made when I was recruiting is I kind of already had a feeling where I wanted something local and something very, relatively small. I just didn't feel like I would have clicked with the kind of the big four mid-tier, the hierarchy and the structure. And the way I kind of like worked throughout my years, I like the small kind of family lifestyle and the culture that, you can talk to anyone. And luckily I met Pension Assurance at the time, and they were gracious enough to give me that internship. And then from that internship, I got a staff position. So for me, that was my choice, because I didn't want the kind of the career path where it was like big four, then join the industry. I just wanted something that was local and auditing. And I wanted to do something that I also cared about and kind of like felt like it was making a good choice and a difference. And I feel like retirement plans are something I actually started loving. You know, I love doing these audits, and I love making sure that they're agreeing that they're doing all they can and following the laws for the retirement plans. So like you'll have these choices, you know, you'll figure out them along the way, whether it's the recruiting or after you start your firm, you'll understand the choices you made and what choices you'll make after that. And then after that, does anyone have any questions for us?
So I have one. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to a lot of accounting like firm presentations, I feel like a lot of the times there's sort of like supposed culture value and values tend to overlap a lot. So how do you actually differentiate firms by their real culture and not like the list of words they have on their website, which overlap with every other company's website?
That's a great question, Catherine. I think, at least for me, the best way to do that would be, I kind of touched upon it briefly during the presentation, but spending time to get to know people that work at that firm. You know, I mentioned one of my former coworkers, Scott Miller. He was at Ernst & Young for a couple of years. And if any of you know or knew Scott, he kind of was an Ernst & Young type of person. Like, it just, the people that I met were very similar to him. And he, you know, it just, for whatever reason, he just seemed to, you know, be that type of culture. And then when I went to Deloitte, my first engagement, I mean, that public engagement that I was on, I mean, I literally got along with every single person on that team. And I kind of just, I give, I kind of credit that to just finding the people that I felt like I got along with, that I would appreciate being around for, you know, multiple hours a day. Of course, there's that's not always going to be the case. There, you know, you're not always going to like your coworkers or the people you work for or work with, but, you know, I felt like that the people is really what kind of gives off that culture, rather than just, like you said, the words on their website. So.
And another thing I would like to chime in on that is that I know now it's very different because everything is online. I know meetings, so it's kind of hard to engage on how people are. Because I know for Meet the Firms, you only meet with one individual. And back when I was recruiting, when everything was in person, there was a booth to EY, the Big Four, and you get to meet around like 10 people, 11 people. So it was more easier, I guess, to kind of differentiate all the different firms when you talk to those Big Fours in person. And now with it being online, it's kind of more like you have to talk to multiple people at maybe different times or different events. But I think one great way to kind of solve the personality is to talk to an intern who just recently did an internship in that firm. You know, like let's say, oh, I want to know more about Deloitte. You know, let me look for someone who worked as an intern in Deloitte this past year, and let me get his, you know, representation of what the firm was like and how, you know, his personality is with that firm. And it's a great way to kind of, I guess, figure out if that firm fits your personality.
Okay. So I guess if no one else, does anyone else have any questions, or can I sort of continue mine? I'm not seeing any raised hands. So I guess, so on that matter, how would you guys describe the culture of the firms you guys have previously worked at? Especially like compared to pension?
Well, for me, pension was the only firm I worked with. You know, I did work previously at CSUN. I worked at the University Corporation, and that was kind of more like a cubicle structure life. But I had fun talking to everyone. It was pretty small, and I kind of saw the private with the governmental side of how the accounting is there. And it was kind of fun because I saw the auditors come in one time during the summer. So I kind of saw I was in the other side, I'll say. So it was kind of a fun experience on that non-public. And then when I got to pension insurance, it was kind of a different culture where everyone's very interactive. They talk, kind of they joke around. a bit. We do have like some moments where we try to make everyone laugh. Like we have this like little scary, when I was there the first time, there was like this little scary doll that they had in the closet for, I don't know, whatever reason. It was like maybe the size of my, I think maybe like 2 feet. And it was in the corner of the closet supply. And all I saw was the glowing eyes, and that freaked me out. And I guess everyone would start laughing because they knew what happened. So like different cultures kind of is fun because you'll have these kind of moments, I say.
Yeah, and then can you kind of summarize your question again, Catherine, one more time?
How would you describe the specific culture of the places you worked before?
Okay. The only other accounting firm that I worked at was Deloitte. I guess in general, if you look at it in aggregate at the whole company, it would be more corporate. There would be more, you've got an HR department and an IT department, a recruiting department, where here at Pension Assurance, we're kind of responsible for that altogether. We do audits, but the firm personnel are also doing interviews and helping with marketing and social media and that type of stuff. So, similar to like the actual audit, the individuals here at Pension Assurance get to see more of the business aspect as opposed to just taxes or audit or consulting. But I would say, though, that even though Deloitte felt corporate, I would say that wasn't necessarily the case for how my actual experience was there with my audit teams, because the audit teams is really what drove my experience. And like I said, I really got along with everyone that I work with. Like I feel like I developed some lifelong friendships there with those people at Deloitte. And that was totally separate from like the culture of the company in total. But we had a really good time. We had a really good time during busy season, during non-busy season, during interim. And I would say that if you can get plugged in with people that you enjoy, that enjoy you, it's really going to make for a lot easier working environment. So, and then like here at Pension Assurance, we got an open door policy. We're all here to help each other and make sure that we're providing the best experience to our clients. But at the same time, we came to Pension Assurance knowing that this was going to be kind of the opposite of a maybe not exactly the opposite, but really there was going to be an added focus on work-life balance and trying to make sure that we've had the autonomy and the flexibility to be able to do the things that we want to do, that we're afforded by making money doing a job. But we also have the time, the ability to go and do things with friends, with family, and not just be glued to an office 100% of the day. Like I can, although I am working on my computer, I am sitting in front of my monitors. If I need to take my dog to the vet, or if I need to go, or if I want to go do something during the day, I can do that. I just know that I'm going to have to get that work done some other time, but I have the ability to kind of plan my schedule out and really take advantage of, working remotely in the truest sense is like, I plan my schedule and I make my own schedule going throughout the week. So.
Okay, so a lot of it is team-based and a lot of it is like structure versus sort of self-leadership. That's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and it's definitely team-based because, you're not going, well, I mean, you might, but, you're going to start, and I can only speak to my own experiences, but starting at Deloitte, like I wasn't having discussions with, the Los Angeles, head technical partner, or the Los Angeles, managing partner, or West Coast managing partner. Like I wasn't having discussions with them. I was having discussions with other associates, other second years, seniors, some managers. So it was really those people that were driving my experience. Like I didn't talk to, the ops team or the IT team. So it was really just the people that, you're surrounded by. Now, I can't really speak to the tax side of things because I obviously I haven't done it, but at least on audit, it's really just driven by the people that you work with. And, similar here at Pension Assurance. And, fortunately, but unfortunately, we're completely remote right now, with the option to go in, but most people are staying remote. But our firm, about 45-ish people, is broken down into teams of between like 10 and 12. So it is kind of a larger audit team that we all work together in, to get through, prepping, managing, and getting the files through review. So it is similar to that, where we're not all working with everyone else at the firm. So it's very similar to my experience on those larger clients at Deloitte, where there's 8 to 12 of us that you spend the bulk of your year with. So, but that is really a big driving factor. Yes.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Yeah, Adriana. I think
You're still
on
muted.
Mute. Sorry. Hi guys. I just wanted to ask like what your favorite part is working at this smaller firm.
Alberto?
Yeah. So for me, it's actually being able to recognize everyone. I know when you're starting off like with the big four, like for me, it was hard remembering who was kind of the LA based team when I was recruiting, like for other like big four mid tiers. But when I'm here at Pension Insurance, I know everyone, and I know the partners, I know the senior managers, the associates, even the interns. And it's really great knowing everyone, because it's just like you get to talk to them all day when you have time availability. You might be able to do like a lunch or a dinner and tell them like, hey, let's all hang out. Like I remember there was times in the busy season, we're all in the office. Like there's time where we're like, hey, you want to go bowling? Like, yeah, let's just go after like 5 p.m. And then we go bowling at the Corbin Bowl. So it's always like kind of great with this small culture, because we can bring as many people as we want. And I think that's like one of the great benefits that I love about this firm, is I just get to know everyone. And it's a great open door policy where I can even talk to the partners whenever I need questions. Like one of the partners I kind of like talking to, and we talk back from time to time, he's always fun to chat with whenever he's available. So I think that's, for me, it's like that was my personal experience with the firm so far.
Nice. And then mine is the autonomy and the flexibility. I mentioned in 2018, I moved from California to Tulsa. And when I went to work for Pension Insurance, I said, I'm going to have to move somewhere in the country for an unknown period of time. Because at that time, my wife was finishing her doctorate in psychology, and she had to do her doctoral internship somewhere. So the ability for me to go to continue working with the people that I'm working with, that I enjoy, doing what I enjoy, like I would, that right there was priceless. Like I didn't have to find a new job in Tulsa, and then now I live in Missouri, so I didn't have to find a new job again in Missouri. So being able to build that trust with my coworkers and with my bosses, for them to say, yeah, you know what, go to wherever, do whatever you need to do, and as long as the work's coming in, that's all that really matters. And so that's probably the thing that's allowed me to kind of continue living my life uninterrupted, other than moving across multiple states. But that's my favorite part. But thank you, good question. Anyone else?
Well, we are in our last 5 minutes, so
okay.
Last call for questions before I make final announcements and we all enter our week a little wiser. Oh, also should marketing photos, right? As we all know, we must appease the marketing gods. Please turn your cameras on so we can take a screenshot.
Yeah, I'll be doing a 3-second countdown, so. All right. 3, 2, 1. Got it.
All right, thank you kindly. In that case, final reminder, we have our evening meeting this Thursday with Anderson Tax, 5 to 6. It will be virtual, so You heard a lot about the audit perspective since Pension is a 100% sort of audit firm. But if you're interested in hearing more of the 100% tax side, well, see you guys on Thursday. So with that, I hope everyone has a lovely week that is easy and kind to them. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, guys.
Everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, whoa, last guy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh. Oh.
Wow, bro. I was supposed to be like, I guess he left his computer. That's like, no, the moment he first.
Yeah.